I think a good question to ask yourself is, what does it feel like when you touch the pure essence of what you are? How does it feel to really experience your soul, union with God? What is union with God? How can we experience that on an everyday basis and feel that presence inside of ourselves all the time? How can we tap into or touch a dimension of consciousness which is beyond pain and suffering, beyond egotistical understanding and belief, beyond what we think that is even possible for ourselves? How can we touch the essence of being itself and hold on to that in our everyday lives? Be in that space where we can do everything but be experiencing joy and happiness inside of ourselves. Not conditional happiness, a happiness that goes beyond the thought of what happiness is, but a true joy which radiates from our inner being, our own self. And in that, what does that look like? What does that feel like? How does that make itself manifest in the world? I'm sure that you could do great things with that, right? Like that you could, if not change the world in a significant way, you could change at least yourself and everybody around you by radiating that. Just that presence would probably be enough to be able to completely change people's lives. So, what does that feel like? For me, at least, what it feels like is this waves of just deep sense of satisfaction and joy, but it comes through this remembrance of God, a remembrance of a feeling of this connection which is indescribable, but in a way completely relatable. It doesn't always look like, you're just blissed out all the time, but it does come to a point where you feel such strong waves of joy and bliss and like love that it can become very overwhelming. Not in a bad way or anything, but like it's just not kind of like normal seeming. So what I've noticed is that in order to tap into these states, you have to allow yourself to express these kinds of emotions and feelings, not based on circumstances or situations or things happening or things going your way or any of that kind of stuff. You have to allow that stuff to fall away and to express the feeling which it comes up for you at random times. You'll feel states of happiness and waves of this love and these different feelings. A lot of people feel it when they first find somebody that they find an intimate relationship with, and they find that feeling of just satisfaction, where they're just laying and they're just feeling their presence and just feeling satisfied and happy. Some people find it whenever they do different kinds of adrenaline filled things, or skiing, like skydiving, like those kinds of things. Some people find it when they're reading a book and they feel this sense of peace and calm and comfort. Really what I'm saying is, like, what is that feeling for yourself? Like, what is that sense of satisfaction inside yourself? Like, what brings you a sense of joy? And it's not about going and doing those things all the time. What I'm trying to say is that that feeling can be brought into your very being and become a part of your all the time reality. It's not going to be, say, 100% like super strong all the time, but you'll have that essence and that feeling and that piece of that comfort, that feeling of satisfaction in your life. That can be there all the time. For me, what it feels like is just these like deep senses of emotional rushes, but I mean, it's not always emotional, because it comes from the mind connecting into God. For me, it comes through chanting and through just thinking about God. But you know, God is different for everybody, in a sense that, like, it's the same thing, but it's everybody has a different perspective on what that is. For me, God is the essence of love and joy, so when I put my attention onto that, I think of love and joy inside myself, so it kind of connects in that way. And I really like to do chanting like Ram 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 Ram, and Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Christ, Om Christ, Om Christ, these kinds of things. And when I do these things, this feeling of just this devotional love starts to just like raise up inside of me so powerfully that it just completely overwhelms all of my senses, to where I just, you know, like, a lot of times you just start to just weep with just a feeling of so much love. Maybe for me it comes through like memories of being around these beings and being around these presences of these highly elevated beings. But I'm sure that essence is sitting inside of everybody, and everybody has the ability to tap into that to some extent. I've noticed that if you can allow yourself to really go into those feelings, like to really allow, like to, because when the mind gets pulled away and it gets distracted, it can pull you away from those feelings inside yourself. So you got to learn how to focus the mind in a way that, first of all, convince the mind that certain things will bring you a sense of joy, and then give yourself experimentation by doing those things and feeling that joy come up inside of you. And if you do that enough, then your mind will automatically attach to those ways of bringing about that sense of God's presence. Not everybody is going to be wanting to do chanting and things like this, but there's a lot of different methods that you can use to be able to feel the presence of God. Really, the point of this is to get your mind to allow yourself to feed into that presence, and then once you start feeling it, then you have to keep focused on that feeling of that love, bliss, joy, happiness, gratitude, all that inside yourself. And you have to learn how to focus your attention into that and really like loop that kind of sensation inside yourself over and over again. And you'll notice that if you can do this correctly, what'll happen is that you'll feel that wave of bliss, that wave of emotion, that wave of joy. And then as you keep your attention on it, it'll keep coming back and back and back. And every time it'll intensify just a little bit more. And you'll be able to kind of like snowball it into this feeling of just immense bliss and immense joy, to the point where your whole body will just start to vibrate. And you'll be like just weeping with love and happiness inside yourself, and you'll just feel it. You're feeling this like you'll almost start to shake with like how much just ecstatic bliss that you're feeling. I know this is intense or whatever, but like honestly, it's the experience that I've been having. So I just want to try to express what that union with God feels like, inside the self. And then like maybe to express also to the people that it's possible for you to tap into these feelings for yourself. And it's just about letting go of, you can call it the ego, but it's really your concepts about what it is that you should or shouldn't be feeling at any certain moment, and allowing yourself to really dive deep into those kind of deeper spiritual emotions and feelings. It's because your nature as a soul is this immense joy and this immense bliss, because your soul is completely connected with God and it is one with God. But there's this thing that you have going on where you feel like you have to be this way, this way, this way, this way. You've been like conditioned into being a certain way. You've been conditioned into kind of expressing yourself in a certain way, acting a certain way, having certain reactions and responses to different kinds of things in life. People say that if this happens, then you should feel like this. If this happens, then you should feel like this. You say that if this happens, I should feel like this, or if this happens, I should feel like this. Well, you can actually let go of all of that and allow yourself to feel a sense of like immense joy through everything if you can keep your attention on that kind of perspective. I've noticed that as this has gone on, I've realized that there's so many different kinds of things that would happen where I would have a negative response to it, because I would think that, this person doesn't understand, or this person doesn't they're not being right, or like they're not acting in the way that I think that they should be acting, or this circumstance is not happening the way that I think it should happen, or all these different kinds of events and things that your ego and your mind want to kind of rebel against, because it's not in alignment with what you think the world should be like, or what other people should be like, or what other like all these other things. And secondly, also, nobody's perfect, so like how could you really judge other people and other things for how they are when you have so many flaws yourself? So like it's letting go of all of these judgments, all these different kinds of ideas that you have, and allowing yourself to accept things as they are, to surrender into the moment. And through that, there comes this deep sense of satisfaction in life. There comes this deep sense of just goodness, and just like everything's all good. It's all just how it should be. The wind feels beautiful. The trees are beautiful. Like I can see the grass moving. I can feel the presence of God in this moment when I'm not thinking about what I think I should be feeling and what I think I should be doing, and like what I think other people should be doing, and how other people should be thinking about me, or how other people view me. Like I know who I am. I know what I am. So why would anybody else's opinion about what I am change anything about me? Why should I be subject to other things in this world changing my state of consciousness, when I have the ability to be able to focus my attention and really pull in a state of consciousness that is so much beyond the world? It's so much more like just real, all this stuff that's happening, it's all illusion. I mean, it's real in the sense that we're all experiencing it, but like in reality, it's really just like a dream, and there's really no weight to anything. And if you notice that things happen, and then 2 years later you don't even remember what they were, even if they caused you immense pain and suffering in that moment. So if you can like expand your mind, expand your sense of yourself, and see into the future, in the sense that when you experience something, really think to yourself for a second and be like, okay, is this really going to matter to me 5 years from now? Probably not, right? So if I can allow my sense of my consciousness to expand out from my own sense of time and space, then this feeling of constriction from the moment of suffering will start to dissolve, and you'll be able to see from a higher perspective, like a deeper, more expanded perspective. And that perspective will bring you a sense of peace and security in yourself, because you'll be able to see that a lot of this stuff that I've been getting upset or feeling bad about is really not that big of a deal in the higher sense. And if you can look at it from a soul's perspective, then you can see that this entire lifetime is only just a blip in one moment in eternity. And if you can really hold that perspective, then any, you know, temporary suffering is not really going to seem like that much to you. And even if it's really intense, it's still just a moment, and it'll pass. The same thing as anything else. There's a Buddhist saying that says, "This too shall pass." And that's a very powerful saying, you know, because it really, it shows the temporary nature of all different things. You have happiness, sadness, all these different things, they come and they go. But there is this joy which permeates through everything, which you tap into every once in a while, you know, like you get these little glimpses of this happiness and joy throughout whatever it is that you're doing. I used to get it, I would go to the amusement park or whatever, and I'd ride a roller coaster and I'd feel that joy, or I'd hang out with my friends and I'd feel that joy, or I'd hang out with my girlfriend at the time or whatever and I feel that joy, or I would do all these different things. But then there would always be like another opposite that would cause that to kind of like cancel itself out. But that joy is the thing that is permeating inside of everything, and you're just allowing yourself to kind of tap into that at different moments in time, based on your ego allowing the, you know, like alignment with its desires to kind of like let itself feel a sense of like an expanded consciousness. But in reality, that expanded consciousness is always there, and it never left. It was just kind of like being clouded by your mental judgments about things and your desires and all these different kinds of things that kind of like build up layers of mud over the light that is the joy of existence. So the nature of the soul really is like this deep sense of joy, and you are that, but your ego is just kind of clouding that ability to be able to feel that presence all the time. So this is why we do different kinds of spiritual practices and things, in order to be able to kind of tap into these states of joy. And this will show you these practices, like I keep suggesting over and over again, chanting. The chanting will show you how to tap into those states, because inherent in the name of God, which there's so many different names, you know, like all of them pretty much do the same thing in a sense. They just have different aspects of God that they're expressing. But the point of chanting the name is so that you can allow yourself to let go of whatever's going on in the moment and to feel the presence inside of that name. And the presence is there. I felt it for my own self many times. Like I feel it every single day. I literally, like, just after not that long, and we'll post more videos of doing the chanting and everything like that. But right now I'm just trying to express that it's present inside of that name, and that you can feel that joy through the name. Any name, really, like, you know, Christ. If you're Muslim, Allah. If you're Buddhist, you know, like Om, or like all these different kinds of things. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. All these different things are just different names that are pointing towards that thing. So as you say it, it kind of like sheds off those layers of mud which the ego has built up, and allows for you to get little glimpses of this like present state of consciousness, which is permeated with love and joy. Ram, all these different things. So the point of doing this is it's a form of meditation, and the meditation is meant to slowly or quickly let go of these different layers of ego consciousness, and allow for your soul nature to kind of express itself. And at first it'll only come in little blips, you know, like you're gonna probably like you may have trouble even just sitting and going ram for longer than like 5 seconds, you know. But as you do it more and more and more, and you feel that joy come up inside of you, you feel the bliss inside of you, then naturally you're going to be wanting to do it more and more, because just like anything that brings you a sense of happiness or joy, you're going to kind of become more, I guess you would say, like, attached to that kind of method. And you know, people look for that method in everything. Like they take a drug, and then all of a sudden they feel this shift in their state of consciousness, and then they become attached to that method, and then that becomes like their God in a sense, you know. Or they feel it with a person, and then they get attached to the person, and that becomes like what they're worshiping in a sense. But if you can detach yourself from all these externalized methods and then go inside of yourself and feel these different kinds of emotions and feelings inside yourself, then you can actually not be subject to these external things anymore. You can just create these states of consciousness inside yourself. And if you can realize that, you know, like, the happiness that I felt hanging out with this person that I enjoyed, actually that was happening inside of me. And the happiness that I felt from that substance or whatever, like, that actually was happening inside of me, and it was created in my own consciousness. And that thing was acting as a catalyst for me to be able to experience. That person was acting as a catalyst for me to experience. That event was acting as a catalyst for me to experience these things. All these things are showing you these different states of your own consciousness, which are available inside of you at any point in time. So the whole point of all these different methods of going outside yourself is to feel that feeling inside yourself. So why not try to learn how to disconnect from the external, and then find those spaces, those soul states inside of yourself, and allow yourself to create those things and hold on to them all the time, or as often as possible. And so another thing that is good for this is to learn how to allow yourself to hold on to joy and happiness inside yourself. Meaning, most of the time when there's a conditional state that causes a sense of joy, the joy is very short lasting, and it's like little bursts, right? But if you can really focus into that, and then instead of your mind like getting caught up in some other thing, or thinking I can't be staying like this forever or anything like that, allow yourself to just consistently feel that feeling, and really like dive into that feeling in yourself. Now, this will really only work 100% if it's a feeling of love towards God, because everything else has a beginning and an end. It all has like a duality to it. But if you can really dive into these feelings with God, in the sense of like, if you feel this presence and this happiness coming from worshiping God, then really dive into that by allowing yourself to re-feel and like, say that you had a thought that brought you a sense of gratitude that almost brought you to tears. Replay that over and over and over and over again, and feel it. And then if it's not just playing the same thought, but like really like kind of dance around that thought form that brought that sense of connection with God. And there's these different kinds of ways that this comes about, you know, like say that I'd be chanting Ram, 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 and then I feel this like sense of like laughter and joy. Instead of just stopping myself and being like, oh, that was weird, really feel into it and allow yourself to go into that like really raise that feeling inside yourself, and like go into it, and really like use that as a meditation. That would be like an ecstatic meditation, where you like you go into it deeper and deeper and deeper, and then it'll raise to the point where you are literally just completely enveloped with a sense of just all-consuming bliss and joy. And once you feel that, once you like realize that all this stuff is possible, this will definitely be your aim in life. Not to go into these like ecstatic states per se, but to figure out how to hold on to this state of union with God. And that union with God, with it comes the bliss that I'm talking about, the joy, the peace, surrender, the feeling of ecstatic bliss, all these different kind of things. They all come from God, leaning into God is another way to put it, I guess. So basically, I'm just trying to express the nature of the soul you know, like what it is that it feels like whenever you're in that, but also just a little bit of some methods about how to kind of lean into that expression. This isn't so much of a structured video this time, but honestly, I just want to kind of get this out there a little bit. Coming forward, also, I'll go into more structured kind of videos. I'll do a couple of little courses and things about different methods that you can use to be able to feel these different states of consciousness. I'll go into the chakras, expressing like kind of how each one of these energy centers, how you can understand it and see how your state of consciousness will connect into that energy center, and so that you can know which energy center that you're kind of using to express these different states of consciousness. And through that knowledge, you can kind of like ascend the ladder of your own spine, or your own chakras, if you want to put it that way. I'll go into, you know, different kinds of methods of ecstatic meditation and what it feels like. Sometimes I'll take videos of like, I guess in that state, just so that you can see what that looks like. But all these different things that I'm trying to say are just like, you know, I'm just trying, my main goal is to help people to see that this state of joy and love is possible, and that you can feel this pretty much all the time if you really like dive into these different kinds of spiritual methods and things. And yeah, these are all just little gateways to be able to kind of like get a little glimpse into your soul nature and to experience that soul nature for yourself. Jai Gurudev. We'll go into a little bit more, but I appreciate anybody who's watching these things, and I hope that it's helping somebody. So, God bless.